Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is November 27th, 2022. Hopefully, this podcast episode finds you well. I'm in a bit of, I guess, of a mental stupor. But, I'm hanging in. It's been a really, really great weekend. I have been taking a lot of naps, been napping a lot, eating too much, but it's been a vibe. It's been good. Speaking of eating too much, we'll slide on into the food corner. I had a buffalo chicken pizza and pretzels from you already know Mellow Mushroom. At least the dedicated listeners know. I switched it up though in terms of the pizza. Usually I just get a normal thing, focus on the pretzels, but I was just like fiending a buffalo chicken pizza. And of course, thank you, internet algorithms. Thank you, Google ads. They slipped some buffalo chicken pizzas my way on the visuals, so I just couldn't help myself. It was very good, very yummy. Um, they like put nice chunks of chicken on there, and then good pieces of bacon, which I'm always a sucker for. Trying to think, and then I did a blue cheese swirl, which is important, right? I'm not a ranch guy. I'm a blue cheese guy, blue cheese boy. Let's see, and of course pretzels were good. Anything else though to report? No, I'm kind of maybe I'm fooded out. I don't know. My body is oof, I'm bloated. I ate some leftovers last night on like an impulse, and I was like, I shouldn't have done this. But it's been a good little holiday weekend. Really enjoyed myself. Been kind of kicking back. So yeah, we can get into some news. See, let's start from this article from Reuters. Twin blasts in Jerusalem kill one in suspected Palestinian attack. Now, in this Reuters article, it is 14. I believe I read in like a what is it like from the Jerusalem Post? It's another news outlet. I think they said they reported 19, but they were from two bus stops, and then also the body of the deceased Israeli schooler was like taken on top of the fact that he had died. He had been taken. Um, I believe it was held briefly as in West Bank, but then there was talks of like saying, "Hey, we'll do like military raids to get the body," and then I guess kind of like off the scenes negotiations though. Within like 30 hours, the body was delivered. So, um, but there still hasn't been like direct claim of responsibility. Hamas has kind of praised the attacks, but not necessarily come out and said, "Hey," they're just saying like, "Hey, this is more or less based off of the actions of the occupiers," by which they mean Israel. So, naturally, I mean these are terrible acts. You never want to see it. Apparently, I think it's kind of like they say like it's a callback to like the early 2000s. That this really hasn't happened since then. Also, that the bombing seemed to be like by remote detonation, as opposed to like a suicide vest or anything like that. This does line up, in terms of timing with Benjamin Netanyahu, coming back into power alongside of a right wing coalition. Let's see. In this article, Itman Ben Gavir is mentioned, which is something I kind of wanted to use as a tangent. He has more or less gotten his wish in terms of being in charge of security, so it gives him reign over like the police in terms of like he can involve himself there and like do things there. It also allows him like military controls in terms of like border stuff. So I'm sure he's going to be pressing those powers. I think for him, I think he would like to definitely increase. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's suppression. I mean, he's going to call it what surveillance or for protection for his country. But let's see, there's a quote here. He wants security forces to go quote unquote house to house in search of guns and restore our deterrence power. I mean, that's what you're going to cloak it as, but essentially you just want to oppress people, um, and really throw your weight around. But that being said, I mean, these bombings are still sad. I don't want to take away from that, do counterpoint whatever on that shit. Like, that's never condoned. It's never okay. It's sad to see any kind of loss of life. It's sad that people are injured. You know what I mean? You want to feel safe when you hop on the bus, when you live your life going from point A to point B, for sure. So definitely something I wanted to cover. In some other news, we're going back to the stage. Got this from CNN. U.S. 3 arrested in the beating of a detainee in Georgia detention center. So this was over the beating of 41-year-old Jarrett Hobbs. Let's see. I'll run this off of a quote about the people who were arrested and what they were charged with. Charged with battery of an inmate and violating the oath of office are Mason Garrick, Braxton Massey, and Ryan Beigel. Let's see. There were also 2 others involved. They are facing disciplinary actions. We'll kind of see if those other 2 are going to get faced with any kind of charges or not. But, I mean, there were videos released of this, and I think they're very damning. Excuse me. Let's see. We're kind of just do a little brief synopsis. I do kind of want to run off of the article here, though. The first 2 videos, and there's a total of 3, which have no audio, also appear to be from the jail surveillance system. The video showed Hobbs alone in a cell at the detention center. In one video, 5 employees can be seen entering Hobbs' cell and one grabbing Hobbs at his neck. A struggle ensued inside the cell. Soon, at least 4 of the employees can be seen wrestling Hobbs, some hitting him in the head. A second video released by Hobbs' attorney shows Hobbs being pulled out of the cell, and employees can be seen wrestling him to the ground. The video appears to show at least 1 employee kicking Hobbs. 4 of the 5 employees appeared to be white. The others appear to be black. Let's see. I mean, there's more kind of, going on here. They tell him throughout the audio, stop resisting. And, he yells back that, hey, man, I'm sitting down. You'll stop. They're still, like, massing him. I mean, you can see photos of this, too. And there's also, obviously, the videos are available to be seen. But it's an inappropriate use of force for the situation. I think it was that, like, he was kicking the bars of his cell and they tell him to stop, and I think that's kind of what initiates the conflict. But it's just one of those things where it's like there's just at no point where you need to go this hard, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing. I mean, they literally started off, it just looks like the kind of violence you would see in a fucking movie, on someone who is just existing pretty fucking much. I think he was in on a probation violation. But I mean, all the same, it's just like, I wouldn't care if this dude's scum the earth. You don't need to manhandle him like this is a fucking 300 Watchmen cutscene. It doesn't need to be done. So, I mean, I imagine there's going to be some trial stuff. I don't know if it's going to be covered or anything like that, but hopefully, any kind of results or more arrests, we'll definitely try to cover on the podcast. But yeah, man, like once I saw the footage, I was like, "Ew, dude, what the fuck, man? Like, there's just no need for it. There's no need." I wouldn't say that there's any kind of like boom racial motivation. I think that's why they go out of their way to say, "Hey, there's white people and black people involved," but it's a power thing, and I think you can say in that regard, in a systematic way, then yes, race is involved. But hey, I don't want to get too weeded down on this, but definitely sick shit, and I wanted to cover it. We're sticking with CNN, though. Got some more news. Biden extends student loan repayment freeze as forgiveness program is tied up in courts. So I covered a little bit of this on the Patreon. Sorry about it, but hey, sometimes this information does get a little paywalled. But essentially, there's been another update that I figured I'd cover on the main. So essentially, with lawsuits and everything, it's looking a little bit dicey for the future of this, um, student loan forgiveness. Something I thought that was just going to be done. And Biden has insisted that, hey, this is legal. I'm on the up to do this shit. Essentially with working with, I think, like his Secretary of Education or something like that. Oops, sorry, I bumped the mic. He is allowed to forgive, um, certain debts and just debts and just absolve it. And essentially, there's been companies coming out and saying, hey, no, you can't do that. We're going to be at a loss if you do that. So they're suing him to stop doing it. And it's been at least said, hey, okay, we are going to freeze this program. We're not going to let you go forward with it until we further investigate it. This has been from a federal judge. So, as it's tied up in court, he's done another freeze, which is something that people were like, okay, well, we're good. We're not having to do that anymore. But essentially, it's going to go until June 30th, I believe. And if the litigation hasn't been tied up or isn't in Biden's favor, then it's looking like people are going to be back on the hook for what they have to pay for in terms of their student loans. So I kind of think this fucking sucks. I think it's dumb and unnecessary, but I mean, capitalism is always going to fight. It's going to fight for these greedy upper crust motherfuckers to get their little fucking money. Because in the scheme of things, that's what it is. I highly doubt that if these motherfuckers don't get this wave of money that has been frozen for a long ass fucking time anyway, that they're gonna just shrivel up and die. And if they did, good. It's just predatory as fuck anyway. But I mean, that's a whole other fucking episode. Just wanted to kind of get it in there, talk about it. Obviously, there's more details in the article if you'd like to peruse it. And some other news, we got Yahoo News / Associated Press, Gone in 9 Minutes, how Celtic Gold Heist unfolded in Germany. So this was like a really nice smash and grab operation kind of deal. Essentially, these were able to break in at like 1:26. They pried open the door, and then they were out the door by 1:35, and this all takes place in the AM. And essentially, they smashed a display cabinet and scooped out the treasure. And the treasure was these cool looking gold coins, and they were like made out of like river gold. And I mean, essentially, they were a big deal. They do amount to a lot of fucking money, but essentially, they're very unique. And they, let's see, the estimated value of the treasure is at about 1.6 million euros, which is 1.65 million dollars. So I mean, it's a lot of scratch, but something that people are worried about, that the culprits might wind up melting down the gold because, like I said, it's too unique. So potentially people are going to be on the lookout for them. You're not going to be able to just like pawn them off, resell them even on the black market. It's going to be really dicey. Now, granted, that's what they kind of hope happen. Not even just to like catch the culprits, but to like just get it back. Like they'll pay the gold cost, if you will, to get the gold back. But essentially, they might melt it all down and just sell the gold at like a net value of 250,000 euros, which they don't give American equivalent. So we're asked out there. Sorry, I didn't convert it myself. Womp womp. But like I said, the gold coins are very unique. They're like bowl shaped and they have like really cool etchings on them. But yeah, definitely a little slick move. Apparently, this is kind of has the same mo style as another two crimes that have been taking place in like the Berlin area. And it's like a Berlin crime family is potentially linked to it, but they haven't like come out and said that out loud, I think. But it's stated in the article. So I mean, hey, really interesting. Who knows if we're gonna find an ending to this caper? But yeah, I like covering little frauds, little schemes, little thefts. Whether it be diamonds, whether it be fucking old doubloons. I wanna talk about it. I want to hear about it. But speaking of fraud, speaking of crime, we got one more to go before I let you go. So we're gonna hit the little break. You already know. Ooh-wee. Mm. Oh. Okay. I got this one, and it's a local one. This is Ohio related. Um, from WHIO TV. Ohio AG, over $130,000 swindled from homeowners. Three men facing lawsuit. So, let's see. The Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost is suing a home landscaping contractor and his partners for allegedly swindling more than $130,000 from homeowners. Essentially, this is like kind of like a deck building scheme, and Daryl Allen is the main guy, and essentially he's already like on the hook for some shit. Um, let's see. In December of 2019, Yost's Consumer Protection Section filed a lawsuit against Allen and his company, Deck Builders Unlimited, in January of 2021. The court prohibited Allen from conducting business until he paid more than 4,700 or 47,000 or no 47,000. Oh, gosh, you guys know I'm bad with numbers. And then consumer damages and 50 it's 50,000. So 47,000 and 50,000 dollars in civil penalty. However, he has not paid either dues. So he skipped out on those fucking things and said, "No, fuck it. I'm gonna run this scheme again with my two buddies." I don't necessarily know if they're buddies, but essentially these are his little co-conspirators. So he's getting around it with Bernard Christ and Shane Bates, who registered two new deck building companies with Ohio Secretary of State, according to the lawsuit. The three operated Good News Builders and Columbus Deck Co. LLC. So, I mean, essentially, they just changed the bodies and the names of the deck building, and people were just giving them money, expecting a service that was never going to get done. That's really fucked up. I know that a lot of people, when they get into a home, they're buying fixer uppers. They're already pieces of shit. So guess what? You have to call these kind of contractors to get these kind of work done. And you have to like shake their hand and sign the shit for a lot of money up front. And it's going to almost always get worse. They're going to get their shit in and be like, "Oh, well, it turns out we got to do this and we got to get this done. And that's got to get done." And it can be a whole to do. Excuse me. So it's like a mechanic of sorts where it's just like, I know I just kind of have to take your word on it, but if I'm having any kind of education here, my insides are gonna rotate like hearing all this shit, and I wish I could just do this on my own, but like I can't. I have to like make more money and live my life to sustain this fucking house that I just bought. Anyway, essentially these people are taking advantage of people who need this work done or want this work done, and they're just getting grifted. So I figured this was kind of some cool local news to kind of talk about. Let's see. The 12 complainants totaled $132,000. 100 or yeah, I'm gonna try this again. Gosh, numbers are my fucking kryptonite. $132,139.80 of financial losses. And this is dating back from cases dating back to September of 2020. Also on this article, they do have some tips to make sure you don't get hoodwinked. I'm not going to go through all of them. I've kind of, had you guys on the hook for a little too long, I'm sure. But I appreciate you. Actually, it's not too bad. I'm only hanging around like 20 minutes here. So this is actually nice. Boom, boom, boom. So I'm going to, float some time here. I'm going to talk about the Patreon. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. If you would like to help out the podcast or just get more involved and get more content, that's the way to do it. $5 makes you a newsie. The newsy package gets you bonus episodes. It gives you Discord access. It gives you shout outs on the pod once a month. Um, several little perks like that. Those kind of things. But freeway, if you want to hit me up, gmail.com/Isaiah News1. Isaiah News1 at gmail.com. There you go. I said it the right way. And I'm on all the socials. So feel free to contact me if you would like. Thank you so much for being a real one and listening. You're the best. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.